The next part of this discussion centres on the statement from the True Blue panel, shall we call them, who said that we must start letting this team play again. Kim Traynor's not exactly enamoured by that, because he knows what's going to happen. This is quite common as we fight against these demons that run Scottish football, because the decisions are not always taken in football offices. They're taken elsewhere. Listen to this.
Rules now, but I'd be surprised if the SFA push for that to be ratified, or that I'll be surprised if they don't resist the calls for that to be ratified by them.
What makes you think that?
I just know these things, Dave.
I just know these things, David. And David McCarthy knows that he knows these things, because David McCarthy also knows some of the things that are going on. But David McCarthy is the one who has said that we must let Rangers play. Let's continue with this discussion. We're still only 2 minutes 30 seconds into an 11 minute 37 second podcast by the Daily Record. It's probably going to take me 5 DVDs here on YouTube, or 5 programs on YouTube to cover it. I talk too much, I know.
Stupid not to now. We're in a bind. The SPL are in a bind. Scottish football's in a bind. So are Rangers. We need a way out. And if
we're in a bind. Who? Scottish football's in a bind. Why? Rangers are in a bind. That's actually quite. That's very important. And we need a way out. There is a way out. If you look at Olympic history, there are people who have cheated to win gold medals, or to win silver medals, or to win bronze medals, or they've just cheated to get the very best result that they can on their Olympic day. What did the Olympics do to these individuals? They removed their title. They removed their world record. They removed them from the sport. They banned them from the sport. And if we have a club who is built on cheating and cannot play the game other than in a cheating way, then we don't need them. Yes, we do understand that Rangers have a potential home support of 50,000 plus fans. But those fans have told everybody, and even through the media, and through people like Gordon Smith, he was only the president of the SFA for goodness sake, but through people like Gordon Smith, the Rangers fans have said they will not attend away matches. The system is that in the away matches in the league, the money doesn't go to Rangers. No money goes to Rangers. Rangers and every other club in the football business only get their home gates in league football. Cup football allows both teams to share from the gates, and thus when Rangers play in the cup, if they play at Celtic Park, they're entitled to half of the gates at Celtic Park. But Rangers fans have stated that they will not attend the cup matches. Why? Because they know that they will have to make sure that they put their money into other clubs. Rangers fans don't want to put their money into other clubs, unless of course they are Rangers men who are running other clubs. Men like Campbell Ogilvie, for instance. Campbell Ogilvie has a senior position with Scottish football, and Campbell Ogilvie is a massive shareholder at Ibrox Park. Campbell Ogilvie moved to Tynecastle to take up a senior position at Heart of Midlothian. He didn't sell his shares. He transferred those shares to his wife. Campbell Ogilvie is still a massive shareholder at Ibrox Park, against the rules of Scottish football. You're not supposed to have shares in other clubs. And I'm sure there are people at Celtic Park who are similarly placed. But the point is that this hypocrisy is covered by people like Campbell Ogilvie. Campbell Ogilvie is a demon, and Campbell Ogilvie is corrupt. Other such men would include Donald Findlay, who is the head man at Cowdenbeath, massive shareholder at Ibrox Park. Then we have Jim Ballantyne. He's only the president of another football organisation, the SFL. He runs Airdrie. But while this has all been going on, this man has been jumping over to loyalist Northern Ireland wearing the Rangers Fans Fighting Fund badge as a shareholder of Rangers. Now remember, Airdrieonians. Airdrie were sent to the knacker's yard by Sir David Murray, who said that Airdrie were treating him the wrong way, and this is business. And for £30,000 UK, Sir David Murray shut Airdrie down. To stay in football with their connections, Airdrie were allowed to purchase Clydebank, who then went, well, they were in trouble anyway, they were heading out of business. They purchased Clydebank, they changed the colours of the strip, changed the name to Airdrie United, and changed the location of the club to Airdrie. These things are not done in a vacuum. These things are done by corrupt men. And Jim Traynor, David McCarthy, Scott McDermott and Gavin Berry are asking us to trust some more of these nice guys to make the decisions for Scottish football, particularly when it comes to making sure that Rangers are not punished. Let's go back to the podcast.
Anyway, you're not going to proceed with this process. Therefore, I think they'll see sense. Bear in mind as well, Stuart vulnerable, as Neil Doncaster is. They're both vulnerable because of their handling of this situation.
They're both vulnerable. Stuart Regan is vulnerable and Neil Doncaster is vulnerable because they sought from the outset, instead of expelling Rangers, instead of sending Rangers to the knacker's yard, instead of insisting that expulsion and suspension were applied to Rangers, they gave them a transfer ban, which was an option, but it wasn't written down as an option for the judiciary panel. Court of Session said that that wasn't acceptable, and they sent the matter back to the SFA, SFL, SPL and said, sort it out. Use the sanctions available. This could have been done weeks ago, but it wasn't. Why? Or why not? Because they were still fighting for Rangers. Expulsion should have been done weeks ago, if not months ago. Rangers should already have been a suspended or expelled club. So Neil Doncaster and Stuart Regan, because they followed that line and delayed this and allowed the administration of Rangers to become the most scandalous administration ever witnessed in Scottish football, they've got nothing left. They've no credibility. Nobody in Scottish football appreciates them. The Rangers fans hate them, but for a different reason. The fact is that corruption runs Scottish football. And that corruption is led by a Masonic institution, a Masonic establishment, an Illuminati background. A dark force indeed. Let's go back to the podcast.
To say you must strip Rangers of titles and trophies, then it's the end. And I think those two at least realise we need to put that to one side now.
Now, you must strip Rangers of their titles. The stripping of Rangers of their titles is not a call from Celtic fans. It's not a call from Dundee United or Aberdeen fans or Motherwell fans or Hibs fans. It's a call from the rules of the league that state that in certain serious offences that the stripping of titles is an option open to the judiciary panel. If these options were not available to the judiciary panel, Rangers and anybody else in the game could run back and say, this isn't the right option, we're going to take it to the Court of Session. Of course they won't go to the Court of Arbitration of Sport in Switzerland, because the Court of Arbitration of Sport, they are the kind of people who actually put these things in motion. These are already in their articles of association. They're in their rules of association. So to go to the Court of Arbitration would mean that Rangers would have to turn to a sporting body and say, please let us cheat and please let us get on with it. The stripping of titles was an option, and it was explained as an option a long time ago. Neil Lennon isn't an idiot. The Celtic board are not idiots. And the people of Scotland are not idiots. We have all read that the stripping of titles is an option. The problem we have here right now is that this is only at this time an SFL issue. Sorry, an SPL issue. We are only looking at what Rangers have done in the SPL. Rangers cheated in the SFL, in the old Scottish First Division, when the SFL and the SFA were the leading lights, were the organisers. They were the parents of the beast. They facilitated all of this, and have done so for close on 100 years. What we're doing right now is looking at the SFL, SPL timeline. And Rangers can indeed be stripped of every single title since they joined the SPL for breaches of the rules. Not only that, but every single game that illegal players played in can be awarded as a 3-0 victory to the opposition. That would mean that Rangers would have ended up at the bottom of the league, not in the champions position. That would have meant that Rangers went to the SFL First Division. That would have been relegation for Rangers. These guys say Rangers haven't been punished, or Rangers have been punished too much. I repeat, Rangers haven't been punished enough. Let's go back to the podcast.
That is the absolute.
Well, no, because they are still insisting on the transfer ban. But here's a solution to a transfer ban. What if it was from the 1st of September to September? Therefore, Rangers could sign up until the end of this transfer window. And if you can't use those weeks to get enough players to win the third division title, you should be out of business anyway.
How much money
Would that be a to get a player to win the third division? Come on.
You can also, as you've said before,
Would that be a compromise, you think? Would that be fair?
They could also say...
Well, we'll put that to the SFA then, and I think you'll find that they'll probably jump at that.
You'll notice that that Jim Traynor is talking over the wimpy voice. And he says, is that a compromise? Of course it's a compromise, but this isn't about compromise. We gave compromises and appeasement to Adolf Hitler for years. Meanwhile, the Illuminati knew exactly what they wanted of Adolf Hitler. And they were arming Hitler, they were allowing him to arm, they were arming the Russians, the communist Russians, and they were arming the West. They made a fortune in that because everybody had to pay their debts to them. Everybody had to give them money back. It's a great thing when you have two fighters in the ring and you own both of them. Doesn't matter who wins, you win. Doesn't matter who loses, you don't. That's not competition. That's not even competition. It's cheating. So it's fair that Rangers, or he's asking, Traynor is asking, is it fair that Rangers should be allowed to sign players in this window before September so that they can win the third division? Straight answer, no, it's not fair. When are you going to start paying for the players that you tapped up and brought to Ibrox during the years of cheating? But particularly in the year of Craig White, which is the only matter being discussed right now relative to punishments to Rangers, Rangers bought Nikita Jelavic from Rapid Vienna. They still haven't paid for him. They sold him on for £5.5 million, according to the press. Rapid Vienna didn't get the £1 million+ they were owed. They bought Lee Wallace from Hearts, and they owe Hearts £800,000 for that player. It took the SPL to pay Rangers 2 million pounds for being second in the league to take that debt away from Rangers. But Rangers have been unable, and were unable, to fulfil their fixtures in February. Rangers should have been wound up in February. Every match thereafter should have been 3-0 to the opposition, and Rangers could have been relegated. But Rangers, it's actually worse than relegation. Rangers should have been expelled. Expulsion is what happens when a club can't fulfil its fixtures. We know that they gave Gretna a hand, but ultimately they wiped Gretna out. What was Gretna's problem? Brooks Milson was dying. The man had cancer. Now, I'm quite sure when you're in the last stages of cancer and you're not really up to running the affairs of your football club, and your family are concerned that your medical bills are being paid and not being ravaged by some football club, you might have a little bit of difficulty keeping the mighty Gretna alive. Gretna, an English side, brought in from a really low position in English football into the very bottom of the Scottish professional game, and they marched on little finances through the third, second and first division and into the SPL. They even went to the Scottish Cup final. That's a shaming thing, really, that a little nondescript English amateur side or non-league side can march into the SPL, the elite Scottish SPL, in just a couple of years. We should be ashamed of that. We really should be worried about things like that. Should Rangers be allowed to buy anybody? Not a chance. Not a chance. Let's go back to the podcast.
Say suspend it like you do in courts. I mean, you two will know about that. Gavin and Scott was always in court for that's why you're late for work Monday mornings, and you get your sentences suspended, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, you could suspend it and say, if we so much as put our foot wrong, then